Folks, I have an admission to make. There's so many of you here. I wish I could go to car and meet you all. I don't like the idea of all this distance, but it's necessary. I appreciate you being safe. What we don't want to do is become super spreaders, but thank you so much. I wish I could see all of you back there, but thank you for being here. And for all of you who brought your kids, you owe them at least an ice cream cone on the way home, some reward for being here. Look, Tara, you're doing the most important work in America, teaching our kids. I've often said, they're not somebody else's kids, they're all our kids. They're the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. Without you, we're in real trouble. I'm not saying this because I'm married to a teacher, but I have to admit, if I weren't saying it, married to a teacher, if I won, I'd be sleeping in the Lincoln bedroom alone. Look, everything that will be possible for our country tomorrow is thanks to the hard work of our educators today, and they're operating under extraordinary circumstances because you're giving kids here in Buck County the confidence to believe in themselves. It all gets down to confidence. We were talking before we came out, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think Jill's second grade teacher is here. I bet every one of you can remember who your first, second, third, fourth, fifth grade teachers were. And what they do, when they do it well, is give you a sense of confidence, give you a sense of your possibilities. And I want to thank two great county commissioners. Diane, you've done an incredible job turning things blue last year. And Bob, I want to thank you all. By the way, I used to be a county commissioner. I ran for the United States Senate because it's too hard being a county commissioner. They know where you live. And when you knock on the door and say, I'm a county commissioner, they go, exactly. What you do is more important than anybody else does. You affect their lives every day. I want to thank you. And I want to thank all the speakers today, all of them. And Jim Greenwood is an old buddy. Good to see you, Jim. I know you're here. And Patrick, thank you for mentioning our son, Bo. You know, I carry with me every day in my pocket a schedule. And my schedule, this has lasted for the last 12, 13 years now. On the back of the schedule, I have written in a black box the total number of troops who've died, who've been wounded in Afghanistan and Iraq and other parts of the world. Because every one of these troops, every one of these fallen angels left behind an entire community, left behind family, left behind people who are still mourning their losses. As of today in Iraq and Afghanistan, 6,924, not roughly 6,900, 924, because every one of them deserves to be remembered. U.S. troops wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan, 53,194, not 53,000. Folks, the idea that our president talks about these folks who gave their lives and gave their everything for this country as suckers and losers is all by itself an understanding why his 6 top generals who work for him all say he's not fit to be the commander-in-chief. He doesn't understand the sacrifices they've made. And nobody knows that better than Patrick. And Christina, our next Congresswoman, I'm looking forward to serving with you, kid. I am looking forward to serving with you. You got the grit and the toughness and the smarts to get this done. And I really am. I mean it sincerely. Let's be sure that when we win back the White House, you send along Christina, because she's going to fight like hell for the families of Bucks County, for hard-working folks. Look, I'm not from Bucks County, but I'm from Pennsylvania. It's my home state, and it's great to be back on Bristol campus. Around here, though, as you've all figured out, I'm known as Jill Biden's husband, and I'm proud of it. She grew up 25 miles from here in Willow Grove, And she and I are here today because it's go time, folks. As my coach at Delaware would say, it's go time, it's game day. We have 10 days left, and it may come down to Pennsylvania. And I believe in you. I believe in my state. The choice has never been clearer, and the stakes have never been higher. The stakes in this election remind me of something my dad used to say. My dad, when coal died in Scranton and jobs began to collapse, my dad was not a coal miner. My great-grandpa was a mining engineer and a state senator from Pennsylvania. But you know, he used to say when we had to leave to go down to Delaware to find a job, he said, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. That's the lesson I've never forgotten. That's what I grew up with, surrounded by hard-working families in Scranton and down the road in Claymont, Delaware. But how many today can look at their kids and say with confidence, everything's going to be okay, and mean it? How many hundreds of cars waiting in line right here in the Bristol campus yesterday to pick up meals because proud families who always made it work are being pushed to the brink right now. Times are hard. Unemployment is way up. Folks are worried about making their next rent or mortgage payment, whether their health care will be ripped away in the middle of a pandemic, worried about sending their kids to school, worried about not sending their kids to school. They see folks at the top doing much better, while the rest are wondering, who's looking out for me? That's Donald Trump's presidency. More than 220,000 dead Americans because of COVID-19. And yesterday, while he's telling us everything's all right, we saw the highest number, 85,000 new cases in one day since this pandemic began. And yesterday, the worst day we've ever had. Yet, at the debate on Thursday night, Donald Trump said, and is still saying, we're rounding the corner. It's going away. We're learning how to live with it. What I told him at the debate, we're not learning how to live with it. You're asking us to learn how to die with it. And it's wrong. This is going to be a dark winter ahead unless we change our ways. Experts tell us we're going to lose nearly another 200,000 lives nationwide in the next several months. All because this president cares more about the stock market than he does you, because he refuses to follow the science. It's estimated that if we just wore masks over the next few months, experts in his own administration say we'd save 100,000 lives. You know what's really sad about this? The president knew this back in February. He lied to us. He told us he hadn't read the intelligence reports that showed how bad this was, how deadly the virus was. But he went on television, he went on air, I should say, with Bob Woodward, and he said he knew how deadly the virus was, and he hid it from the country. But here's what he did, according to the New York Times several days ago. His administration, they didn't tell us about the virus. The administration gave Wall Street investors, though, a heads up. He didn't tell us. He just told his Wall Street friends, and that's why they made so much money by, quote, selling short in the market. They knew what was coming. But what happened to the rest of us? He tried to claim he didn't want to panic the American people. But the American people don't panic. He panicked. And he still has no plan. All he can do is double down on his Park Avenue way of looking at the world. Before the pandemic, he handed out $1.5 trillion in tax giveaways to the wealthiest families in the nation and the corporations. And now, even with 30 million Americans who have lost their jobs or hours, he thinks the way to get American economy back on track is he's proposing another multi-billion-dollar tax cut for those corporations and the super wealthy. Since the start of this pandemic, hard to believe, according to Forbes, billionaires in this country have seen their wealth increase $700 billion. Billionaires. That's not coming from liberal think group. That's coming from Forbes. $700 billion. But Donald Trump can't get his own party to deliver real economic relief for working families. I don't think he wants to. The Congress has passed the HEROES Act way back in May. He spent all his time in his golf course sand trapper in his bunker, not trying to bring together anybody to get it done. They don't have time for that, to work on how to get relief now. To hardworking people, to those unemployed, to small businesses, to schools. In the middle of this pandemic, they do have time, though, to spend several weeks on confirming a new justice who's interested in doing one thing, getting rid of Obamacare. I'll tell you why. Trump's dream of wiping out Obamacare off the books is well underway, because his nominee has said in the past the law should be struck down. If they get their way, over 100 million Americans, including 5.3 million Pennsylvanians, will lose their protections for pre-existing conditions that we work so hard to provide. Complications with COVID-19 will become pre-existing conditions, allowing insurers to jack up your premiums or deny you coverage. And women will again be charged more for their health care just because they're women, which Obamacare wiped out. But nothing is more offensive than the way he's spoken about, as I said, those who serve the nation, suckers and losers. As I said, my son Bo served in Iraq for a year. Before that, he was assistant U.S. attorney in Kosovo for 6 months. He came home a decorated war veteran. And all those he left behind, he wasn't a loser or a sucker. He was a patriot, like so many of you, so many of your sons and daughters, parents and grandparents. Frankly, I've dealt with guys like Trump my whole life, so have many of you. Guys who look down on you because they have a lot of money. Guys who inherited everything, got everything in their life given to them, and then managed to squander it. Guys who afford paying their taxes, he says, because he's smart. He knows how to game the system. Isn't that just the guy you want setting tax policy? The guy who says he's smart to game the system so you don't get the help you need. You pay more tax.